Hey, all right, so let's talk today about how to make your pins go viral and get hundreds of views daily. What if I told you that there is a secret to getting viral pins and hundreds of views every single day for free? For those of you who are new here with me and may not know who this chick is, I am Laura Rike of laurarike.com, and as a rogue Pinterest powerhouse, I help high-performing business owners, content creators, and influencers like you grow profitably the right way with sustainable systems so that you can be found first without the tantrums over tech and trading your sleep for success. I do this using my signature Pentastic Growth to Greatness framework. So without further ado, let's make Pinterest profitable for you. So let's talk about first, before anything else, what is a viral pin? There's something that I heard recently about the pinnability score, right? And the pinnability score takes into account what your design looks like if you've gotten a certain amount of repins or clicks, but there isn't a specific number of repins or saves or close-ups or clicks that determine if a pin is viral or not. So viral can mean a number of different things for different topics, for different niches, for different people. For example, someone may have a goal to get more traffic to their website. Maybe 100,000 impressions equals 2,000 clicks, but that might not be a lot for someone who is in, let's say, graphic design for a niche. Maybe someone who is in marketing is super excited about that. Some people are going to tell you that defining viral pins is driving a certain amount of more of the normal reach. So like 3x your traffic, 10x your traffic. And that goes for where you're linking your pins. Generally speaking, I'm going to say that a viral pin means receiving a larger number of engagements, meaning saves or clicks, in a very short amount of time. The other part of that, though, to me, meaning a viral legacy pin, means that it could have been something that you did years ago, and it's still bringing in a large number of engagements, saves, or clicks. So how do you make your pin go viral? How do you get the traffic, get the sales, bring in the email signups that you are truly looking for? You're working day in and day out to provide value, but you're not seeing the return on that work. It's not a one step, like, this is what you need to do process. I know that a lot of people out there say this is exactly the layout you should use, and this is exactly the title you should use. But really, it's going to be something you have to personally test. I can tell you there are 3 different elements that will help make your pin go viral, right? 1, make sure that it's visually appealing. 2, make sure that you have relevant keywords. And 3, you have to have the strategy behind all of that work. You have to know where you're going and what your intentions are and what your goals are. So I want to focus today specifically on that first one, making sure that it's visually appealing. How do you design a pin that gets that ROI, that massive traffic, to the destination you want? One of the things that we want to talk about is the size. And so a lot of changes over the years, like any platform, any type of marketing, you adapt and you evolve. But pins have always generally been that 2:3 size. And so they're that vertical ratio of an image. And because of that reason, they're organized into like tiles on the platform, right? And so when you do a pin that is, say, 600 wide by 1200 long, or 1,000 wide by 1,500 long, that's going to help with that vertical ratio to be able to help stand out on the platform. So you want to make sure that you're sticking to that 2:3 ratio. A way that I double check that, or that can be more easy for you, is using an online design tool like Canva. They have pre-made sizes set up for you that are already going to be within best practices of that platform. My personal favorite dimensions are 735 wide by 1100 high. And then I've also been more recently using the 1000 wide by 1500 high. Those tend to perform the best for blog post pins, for DIY pins, for services, products, things like that. And if you check me out on my Pinterest page, pinterest.com/Laura Rike, you'll notice that all of my pins have this size. So that is something first and foremost that you definitely want to make sure that you take note of. The second thing that you want to take note of is the photos that you use. So if you are someone who's focusing on products and bringing traffic to your products, you definitely want to focus on how is your product laid out? Is it showing someone how to use the product? Is it showing what the product looks like? There are different ways to do product layouts. You can do a flat lay, you can do someone utilizing it, like a model, things like that. And you want to test those and use them each differently in their own aspect and see which one's actually bringing in the most visibility for you. You might be surprised that some of them that you thought didn't do as well as others. So that's why I say always A/B test, change one thing. The biggest thing with Pinterest is you want to make sure that your product photos are allowing enough negative space so that the visual search option can pick out what that product is. Now, some of you are saying, okay, Laura, that's perfect for those that own products, right? What if I am a service provider? What do? Can I just put up a standard graphic that I got access to and use that stock photo as a background? Of course you can. We do it all the time for my personal Pinterest, for my clients. The thing that you want to make sure that you pay attention to is, does that stock photo relate to what you're going to talk about? And are you allowing enough of a, not negative space, but general layout where the focus is going to be on your words more than the stock photo? Because the last thing you want to happen is if a stock photo is focused more on what's in the actual photo, then Pinterest is going to use that to find other like searches. And they may not actually show your pin the correct way. So you want to keep that in mind. Don't find really over the top busy stock photos. Make sure that you're allowing for your text to be bold and kind of overtake that background, because you really want it to just be a background. You can play with different things like putting a white box over the top of that stock photo so that your words pop more. Another thing that you can think about doing is getting your own professional stock photos done. Because then, even though they're stock photos, you know that you're not going to be competing with someone else on the platform that may have used a similar photo as you, talking about a completely different niche. So I tend to use a lot of business-like and creativity-like stock photos. Those seem to be more general. So you can have like the desktop images, you can have the great photo landscape backgrounds, things like that. I do have another post on my site that you can check out that gives you a bunch of free websites where you can find free stock photos. Different places like Pixabay, Upsplash, Pexels, Gratisography, things like that. They're going to have tons of those images so that you can find everything you want and need from, completely food and health all the way to architecture and business and so much more. So make sure that you're looking at the images and the photos that you're incorporating into this pin design as well. The third thing that you want to really focus on is the headline. This is extremely important because that's how you're telling people what this is about. Not only that, but that's what you're telling Pinterest what this pin is about. This is the place to focus on your keyword SEO research. This is the place to tell people what you want them to do. In your headline, you need to tell people what this is about, why they should care, and what they should do next. If you don't take the time to tell them what you want them to do, they're not going to know. They're going to read it, and if it's not something that's interesting to them, they're not going to pay attention. They're going to keep scrolling on. The thing that you have to focus on is knowing that people aren't going to read your mind. And this is like this in anything with marketing, right? You need to bring them on that client journey. And the only way to do that is to tell them specifically what they're going to gain from this, what to expect from this, what you need from them. So make sure you focus on that as much as possible on your pin title. Along with the great image, your only chance to make a great first impression and to dazzle them is in that first 10 seconds where they can read your headline. So you want to make sure it's catchy. You want to make sure that you've done your research on what keywords you want to be found for, what they're looking for. Also, make sure that you take time to look into the positives and the negative words that you can use to draw on emotions, because that's a part of it too. Just like if you're writing a blog post or if you're writing a social media post or whatever it is for your content, you always have different perspectives in your writing to pull from. The education, the emotion, like there's a ton of different things that you can look into, and I won't go into all of that today, but you want to make sure that you pull on that in that title as well. The next thing that really is going to help your pin design, and yes, I said help your pin design, is that description. You want to make sure that with your design, you've got this amazing, stellar design. It's branded for you. It looks amazing. It's got the show-stopping, eye-catching headline. They see what they're going to do, and they look over to the description, and there's nothing there. The description of your pins is what's going to ensure that people click on it. Pinterest is a visual search engine. It's not a social media platform. So SEO is non-negotiable. It's super, super important on this platform. And that's why your pin description needs to include every relevant keyword that people are looking for. This way, you're going to ensure that your pins are not only relevant content to what they're looking for, but they appear in the smart feed, they're shared on their accounts, and Pinterest knows exactly how to categorize them. You have up to 500 different characters, including spaces, for every single pin description. So you want to try to use as many relevant keywords as possible. The one thing I do want to tell you, though, is the beginning sentences are the ones that are more important than ever. So make sure that you focus on what that's going to be. And then The last thing is focusing on your strategy, right? And so I know design doesn't equal strategy, but design isn't the only piece that you need to focus on when you're working on this strategy.